Welcome back to the Shadow Business Podcast. And today is not going to be a solo episode. No, it's going to be a perfect duo, as I will say right now, right here. In my Zoom studio, I have the amazing Olivia Slay, and she is. Yeah, you're going to notice our energy, but what she has done in her life so far is epic. I think she should use something with that word, do something with that word. She has been an opera singer. She has been involved in productions for Disney, Netflix. She is really a high player, and right now she is helping women do exactly the same. And is not just, she's not just a guest, but we're actually going to do something together very soon. I'm going to talk about that today. So, welcome, Olivia.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. What an epic introduction. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
so excited to be here and chat about everything.
everything. We met each other on a Zoom call in one of
Mm,
the coaches that we work with, both work with.
yes.
And I was falling in love back then. You fell in love with me in Bath.
I did. Oh my God, that's amazing. I love that. It was just
Yeah.
an instant chemistry between us.
Yes, but I already had that. I already had that in October. But
Oh my
yeah,
gosh, I love that.
no. So that's just I just immediately loved your energy, and what I really think that we both have in common is that we don't want to play in the middle, right? We want to be in the
Hmm.
top.
Absolutely. I think you get like one shot at life, and
Yeah.
I'm just a big believer if you go all in. And I've never had an option B or a plan B. I don't think like that. I think like there's always going to be a way to make it work, you know?
Yes. And your career, let's just if that's okay, go a little
Yeah.
bit back to your career first and then what you're
Hmm.
doing right now, because I want people to
Hmm.
get to know you, to know about your new idea of archetypes, and then we'll get to, what we are going to do together.
Of course. Yeah.
So I always feel like because you started well, you didn't start as an opera singer when you were four years old, but how do you decide, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do this because it's a special
Yeah.
technique. Did you always sing in the shower? What was for you the reason?
The
Okay,
origin
let's just do
story.
that. Yes.
Yeah, well, I actually was always singing, and it weirdly was a bit like a shower singing moment. I remember I was singing a lot of Celine Dion because that's what my mum would listen to when I was like 6. And then when I got to around 9 years old, there was an advertisement in the paper for auditions for being a girl chorister at Winchester Cathedral.
That's
And
so
my mom
cute.
was like, "You love to sing. You should like go try this out." And I had no idea like the significance that would actually mean for me and my life. So I went to the auditions. I made it. I was a chorister at Winchester Cathedral from the age of 9 to the age of 18. And I think now
Wow.
they've upped the age. So it was a long time, and it was a
Yeah.
very significant portion of my life. It taught me so many life lessons that I use now, even at 36,
Yeah.
which is crazy. And then beyond that, through that classical training, I then went into opera singing because it was part of what we had trained for as well.
Yes.
And then um toured. I've sung to the Queen. It's just been like an incredible experience. And then I think also what I fell in love with the singing was obviously not only the music, that's the obvious part, and the way that you can connect with people through that
Yeah.
emotion, but it's the storytelling. I've always been
Yeah.
a storyteller, a lover of reading, a lover of music, films, I've always been obsessed with. So I feel like from being an opera singer when that career ended, because the level of commitment and training to do
Yeah.
anything at an expert level, but and I loved it, but it does take over your life. And it
It's
had done
like,
since the age of 9.
yes, it's like an elite sporter. You're just like an
Absolutely.
Olympic sporter, I think.
It
And
is.
yes. And so um, when you were 8, I can imagine it was not just like, normal kids would go, maybe twice a week to sports,
Hmm.
but I don't think you
Hmm.
sang only twice a week, or how did
Yeah.
that look like, that life?
I'm trying to remember all the way back, but it was you would have 3 rehearsals a week.
Mm.
And I remember that like I mean, we're getting like straight to it, but I remember when I was maybe 14,
Mm.
my mum had been diagnosed with cancer in her throat.
Mm.
And this is just like sharing the level of commitment in the choir or at any level
Yeah.
when you're doing something at an expert level, as you say, it's like an Olympic sport, you're still expected to show up for
Yes.
practice. You don't miss anything. So
No.
like you have life-shattering news. I mean, she's recovered and everything's great with her now, thank goodness. But like you show up and I remember actually I lost my voice for a couple of months. I can't remember what that was, but I had no voice. I couldn't sing.
You lost
Again,
your voice.
I lost my voice. Can you imagine that? Couldn't
Well, I
speak,
can
couldn't sing.
imagine if you're saying this, right, about your mother, throat cancer, all those
Mm-hmm.
things, how loyal can you
Mm-hmm.
be as a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's actually so interesting because we have a lot of I'll get to my mum in a sec because I'm
Yeah.
adopted and everything, but I actually have a lot of similarities to my mum in terms of health things. We seem to get the
Yeah.
same stuff, which is crazy. So yeah, I lost my voice for a few months and I still showed up to every practice, every performance. So like there is no
Wow.
missing. And I used
Yeah.
to say, and people think this is really extreme, but um it felt, I mean, I've never been in the army, but it does
Yeah.
feel like it's a very you've made a commitment, you show up
Yeah.
regardless, like
Yeah.
nothing is taking you away from that. So it really did solidify a lot of foundations really for business that I'm in now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And the thing with this is I wouldn't say, exactly with the military, and I was a gymnast, right? So I
Mm,
trained 4 times a week when I was a
yes.
child. It's quite a lot, actually. I didn't really think of this, of course, when I was a
Hmm.
child. I just went. Um,
Yes.
and maybe that's also why, because I didn't know this about you, but I kind of figured, right, if you're an opera singer, you don't just get that, right? You become that. You don't
Yeah.
become like one day, oh yeah,
Hmm.
you know what? No, you practice for that.
Yes,
But I think
yes.
that's also why we're connected, but you're just doing it. And it's also, you kind of have this rule follower mentality, but you're not a rule follower. Do you know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
you're a business owner, like we
Yeah.
both are, and we're not rule followers, but we understand that we need to kind of put those rules on ourselves
Yeah.
to, yeah. And how does
I
this
totally know
resonate?
what you
Yeah.
mean.
Okay.
It
Sorry.
really
I
resonates
just
and
yeah.
no, it totally resonates. And I actually love that you say it like that because I've never really I've always known it. I've never really actualized it. And I think it's almost like I've got the foundation. I know what works for me. And I have seen, how do I say this? I've always grown up with a family and people around me that have loved me and supported me. And I'm so grateful for that. And they have literally always said, you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah.
So the idea of me putting myself out there and
Yeah.
people who don't know me judging me or thinking that I can't do something, I'm like, why would that ever affect me? Like, you don't know me. I'm not putting my purpose and
Yeah.
potential in the hands of somebody else.
No.
I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. You are. You are. And it's you versus you. That's it.
Hmm.
That's the only
Exactly
game.
that.
That's the only
Yes,
game. Yeah.
and do you feel like having been a gymnast that you've also experienced that? I think it's that level of competition with yourself. It's
Yeah.
like I know I can do
Well,
better next time,
especially in
right?
gymnastics.
Yes,
So
yes.
sometimes, yes, of course. When occasionally at a competition, when somebody else would fall off the balance beam, yes, I didn't show it, but I was happy, right? Of course you are. You're a human being, you're a child.
Yes, yes.
But it's not
That's
that.
so
It's a
funny.
very individual sport, right? And it's
Mm,
constantly, also with the training. And for me, for instance, I was very committed to competitions, and I was
mm,
less committed to trainings. And that's also
mm,
why I never got to an elite level because I did not like training so much.
mm.
But yeah, so when you want to be a top gymnast, you have to do it at least 36 hours a week. Um,
Absolutely.
so, and I was doing it, I think for 20 hours or something, or 18,
Mm,
something like that. And then it was, and then it is very much you versus you. And I feel like, oh, maybe I could have learned that also more, right? Also as a child, this was
mm,
in gymnastics. The mental part of it
mm,
was not even, yeah, you're
mm.
just showing up and that's it, right? There was not even
Yeah,
a discussion. We didn't even talk about that at all.
yeah. It's true. It's so true. Like I'm listening to you and I'm like, yeah, like I used to play violin and piano when I was
Of
younger.
course, also, yeah.
Yes, yes. And I
Something
got to
else
grade
very
eight. Yeah.
light instrument, very easy.
Oh, I was just fully immersed. I think the music and everything,
Yeah,
as I said,
of
it's been a
course.
language for me for such a long time. And yeah, I got to grade eight on violin when I was 11, and that's like the final grade that you can do.
Hmm.
And I look back now and I'm like, that's you just like hit the nail on the head. You're just you're doing it because you love it and you're not even necessarily thinking like, wow, this is actually
Yeah.
nuts. Because like the thought of me doing that now, I'm like, oh my God, that was actually insane
Yeah.
that I was
Yeah, but
11
it's
and
I think it's good that you don't know that. It's actually good that
yes, yes, the pressure's
some
off.
yeah, yeah, and you're not really putting too much context into it,
Yeah.
as you should as you tell. Okay, so you were and it's like being an athlete, right? Opera
Hmm.
singer and constantly practicing and
Hmm.
bettering yourself and then at one
Mm.
point you thought, okay, you know what, this is, and then you thought, oh yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to be hired by one of the biggest companies. How did that go?
Okay, so yeah, I have, and I want to clarify this. So I went to university and I did an English creative writing degree and a film studies degree.
Hmm.
And in the final semester of that university, I did screenwriting. And we had like a screenwriter at the time come in and just kind of like give a guest speaking masterclass kind of
Hmm.
situation. And he actually read some of my work and said to me, I think you've got real potential here as a writer. I think that you should consider calling me when you leave university. And at the same time, I was writing. I actually never talk about this, so I feel like this is the first time I'm publicly saying this
I
to you.
love this.
I actually had written a series of books at the same time. I had been developing this for a while, and you can do both. You can write books and you can write scripts, but they're two separate skill sets. And for
Yeah.
me, I found it really hard to juggle both
Yeah.
projects.
Well,
So I left university. And I think it might be the ADHD as well. But I left
yeah.
university and I made a decision. That was when I made the decision, actually, that like I wasn't going to continue with the level of singing that I had been because the time I just didn't have any more. I fell in
Yeah.
love with writing. And it took me a year to call this man with the card because I was
Yeah.
like, I can't, I was so intimidated. Anyway, during that year, I ended up networking through Instagram. I used social media
Yeah.
because somebody had said to me, you can't start in the film industry. I was actually had a really awful experience being racially discriminated against through
Oh,
a equal opportunities program. They asked me to
okay.
grade the color of my skin. It was awful. It was awful. And they
Oh,
were like, yep, you don't look, they literally said to me, you don't look ethnic enough, even though I'm
oh,
Guarani, South American. It was awful. It was really
that's
awful.
insane. You told me
Insane.
your
Insane.
story and you know where you're from and all those
Yes.
things, and then yeah,
Insane. It
you're
was absolutely,
too
yeah.
English or something. They said no.
Yeah, they were just like
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
look,
And this is
the
really the
whatever.
problem actually with the equality discussion as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a completely
Yeah,
different topic. But yeah.
exactly. And it was horrific. And as I said to you
Yeah.
earlier, like I have grown up. That's just never like I've dealt with racism my whole life, but
Yeah.
like no one's actually had the balls to say to me, we're not
I
going to let you do
mean,
this thing because of the color of your skin. Like
that's
crazy.
not
So
normal.
not normal. And
No.
so that was said to me, but they didn't realize at this point I was already networking. And so I was like, if you're not going to give me the opportunity to get on the film set right now, then I'm going to create my own opportunity, right? This is what I say to all my clients. I'm like, just because someone says no to you doesn't
Yeah.
actually mean that's the end of the line for you. So I
Absolutely not.
created a
Actually,
blog.
the no is the first, and that's also showing you the gap.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's the portal. It's the no
I
is a
love that.
blessing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I live by
Yeah.
like rejection is redirection. That's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it
Okay.
doesn't
Sorry.
mean anything. It's
I
just,
thought you were just saying I live by rejection, but no. Okay. Good. That you.
yeah, I mean, maybe. I literally
No,
know
I
doesn't mean
love.
anything to me.
Not
Doesn't mean anything
anymore,
to me.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because you're a human
yeah.
being, and of course, as a normal
Hmm.
human being, you
Mm,
feel rejected, and then you're
mm,
growing into it because you want to get that
mm.
higher level. And you think, no, no, I'm
Yeah.
not going to stop here.
No, I
Yeah.
use it as like feedback. Everything is
Yeah, it
feedback.
is.
Negative feedback just gives me clarity around the next move, Like it doesn't, it's really hard, you're right, to get to that point. I've had a lot of years in the game to get to
Yeah.
this point where I'm like, okay, cool, on
Yeah.
to the next. But yeah, so I created this blog where I interviewed people from Disney, Marvel, Netflix, like every massive media platform. Okay. And I was like in my Hello Kitty pajamas, I was early 20s, at the same time writing a series of books. And so I actually went to the stage where I pitched to publishers. They were interested. I was meeting with publishers, and then I realized actually I've fallen in love with screenwriting. So there's been a bit of a like journey getting to this point. Anyway, I wasn't hired by Disney. I was interviewing people by Disney, interviewing people at Marvel and Netflix. And then my clients, I ended up getting people from those companies as my
Yeah,
clients. Okay. So they ended up
yeah.
being featured in other productions like
I love that.
um like Wonder Woman, my clients have
Oh,
worked on Disney's Little Mermaid,
mm.
every like Marvel Cinematic Universe film there's going. I mean, there's so many films that they've worked on.
Yes.
I actually can't think of everything, but Netflix shows, like Killing Eve and things like that. So
Yeah,
I have basically created what I have now through someone saying to me no and using social media to build a
yeah.
presence and get visible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also something that I've been saying since the beginning of my online business is okay,
Mm,
yes, the laws are in our favor for women, but also really the internet has really
hmm
changed so much for women in general. And it's just we just have a shortcut to opportunities that other people, get through a quite linear career path,
hmm
like,
hmm
having an authority such as this horrible experience that you had,
mm.
decide whether or not you should do something, but actually, no, you can create something yourself.
Yes.
But
Yes,
the
absolutely.
secret ingredient is the courage to do it. And actually,
Mm.
where do you think for you, aside, because it comes from your experience, but also where do you think it comes from? Because I don't think many people immediately think of, oh, yeah, let's just do that about Disney and everything. They think, oh, let's just do it for a local theater or something like that. You're
Yes,
just
yes.
immediately aiming for the star. How did that get into your brain?
I think I felt so frustrated that I was putting, as I said earlier, like all my potential in the hands of people who didn't know me, couldn't
Yeah.
have cared less about my next moves. And I was like, I'm so almost obsessive about language, film, storytelling, archetypes. Like I'm in love with this industry and that world. And I don't know if it's my ADHD, but I naturally have a way of thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, with all my favorite films, TV shows, celebrities, whatever they are, most people are going to think that's so unattainable, that's so impossible, that's so like reach for the stars that it's not even worth trying. And so in my head, I was like, well, because of that, and that's already how I operate. I'm not the coach, I would say, for people who want realistic. I know that doesn't interest me. I'm the woman that you hire. If you have massive dreams, because I know we can do that, you aim
Yeah.
for the stars. And even if you don't hit the stars, you're still so much further than anybody else would dare to dream. And so by putting myself in that position, I actually found the connections.
Yeah.
So I have a really interesting way of doing this, and I do teach this in some of my programs, but I call it like the web method. So I would watch all my favorite shows and films. I would see who was starring in it, who did I want to interview, who did I want to talk to, and then I would think about, well, if I can't access them directly, who's the makeup artist, who's the script assistant, who's the producer? Like I would go a couple of levels down
Mm-hmm.
because they would still have the connections, right? I would still be getting in the room, so to speak, in a digital way through social media and spoke to them that way. And I think my mindset is just like, no one else is doing it. So actually, if I'm the one that sends the message, I'm more likely to get a response because I'm the one that has actually done that. And they're probably not getting anyone sending them the messages or the DMs.
Yeah.
And also, as you can see, people love to chat about themselves. It's a
Yeah.
massive potential to just to starting your own platform. And that is what I did. I used my blog to have interviews like this, to have them through email. And I have spoken to people who have worked on, the Jurassic Park franchise, Star Wars, Harry Potter, um, literally like billion-dollar franchises. And I was just sat on my room in my
Yeah.
pajamas, like
Yeah.
21. And it's
Yeah.
built me what it's built me now. So
Yes, it can be you start at a, well, actually not really low level. It is quite easy to do that. And I
mm,
love how you're thinking in possibilities instead of,
mm,
just immediately going for the star of the show or the series.
mm-hmm,
And then they're saying
mm-hmm,
no, probably.
mm-hmm.
And then you're just thinking, oh, yeah, then I'm just going to give up because that's what many
Yeah,
people do. But then
yeah,
actually going a little level down and then, slowly working
yeah.
your way up again. That's, I think,
Yes.
really a natural course in life in general.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I love this story. I love this so much. I did not know this about you, actually, that this is
Yes.
how it went. And so,
Yeah.
and how would you translate, how are you translating that into your business right now? Because I know you're
Mm-hmm.
taking a lot of learnings from that. And I remember on
Mm.
that call, we spoke about that and, having clients that also resonate with that story
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
find themselves also important enough to invest in
Mm.
themselves, like how
Absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, with my experience, so after all of that happened, I was in the film industry. I've been in the film industry probably for like 15 years as a writer, as a blogger, obviously interviewing these people, and then building my social media empire, my agency, The Social Slayer, where we're known for supporting 7 and 8 figure women
yeah,
all around the world, particularly in this industry. So I have come to know that, Hollywood's built billion-dollar franchises using these archetypes. And
yeah,
so what I do is I use these archetypes. I obviously use cinematic storytelling because I love the aesthetics of that
yes,
and the luxury perception. Luxury perception is a big thing for me, to
yeah,
turn women into living legends online. That's what I do just through all, I think everything that I've ever done, even when I was singing, I was using archetypes in a way to connect with the audience. They just didn't always
yes,
know about it because I'm the one that's projecting the emotion.
of
Um,
course. But actually, as an opera
yes,
singer, you're also an actor, right?
exactly.
It's
Absolutely.
not just a singer. I think all singers are actually also actors,
Mm,
right? In a way, but
mm,
especially in opera. I mean, if you have
hmm.
one form of music that is only about storytelling, it's opera, I
Yes.
think. I
Yes.
believe.
No,
Yeah.
completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I feel like in a weird way, it's been a really full circle moment
Yeah.
because now I'm actually really helping women use archetypes to understand that, like, I mean, the way that I teach it, you can have between 7 to 12 archetypes that you really relate to and resonate with, and that can structure and build your business. It helps completely changes the way you create and share content online. Like it's everything. And I think it helps take the pressure off. I think there's such a trend, and there has been for a while, of this hustle of marketing
Yeah.
yourself and content creation and bro marketing tactics. And it's
Yeah.
like, we're actually not built for that, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, I saw your recent post about that, and it really resonated with me, of course.
Mm, mm,
But you're absolutely so right, and actually, what you're doing also with that is that you're bringing people into your mindset of reaching for
hmm.
the stars and beyond, and not just, I don't know, create a piece of authority content and then
Mm.
have this type of, no, it's not like that for you at all. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think it's almost like for each person, it's a really unique experience because we're all going to identify with different archetypes.
Yeah.
And, you might create and build your business in a completely different way to me, but we both are able to embody maybe similar archetypes because it works in the way that it should, almost like a jigsaw puzzle for our
Yeah.
world that we're creating. World
Exactly.
building is obviously a huge part of what I do. And I just think it's important that it doesn't have to feel so static and independent. Like you say, here's the authority piece, here's the nurturing, here's the value, because it's like an endless treadmill that you are just never ever going to end up keeping up with the algorithm.
Yes, exactly. That's oh, beautiful. Yeah. And what is also so important is what you're also teaching is that, your clients are not becoming a copy of you. They're becoming
Yes.
fully themselves because that's also something
Yes.
I'm seeing in the online space. So,
Mm,
Olivia, we met each other in real life in London
hmm.
and we had a vibe. And
We
then
did.
yes, we did. And then actually you messaged me. Um, I
Hmm.
think I was still in London. Yeah, I think I was still in London. I think it was the next
Yes.
day. And you
Was
said, yeah,
it? Oh my gosh, I was
yeah, or
keen. I
maybe
knew
two
it
days.
instantly.
Yes. And or maybe yes, because it was the
I
day
think it was actually.
after I had my Marie Antoinette
I remember that.
retreat. And I
Yes.
think I kind of rushed, listened to it, and I loved it so much. And I was like, yeah, I really have problems taking good care of myself when I'm traveling for work. I should really work
Oh
on that.
yes. Yes. I remember you saying
And I was
that.
kind of like, Oh, I want to respond right away, but I also have to prepare. Blah, I don't really remember, but something we can
Oh,
actually
that's
look it
so
up,
funny.
obviously, because we
Yes.
can find the messages. But you messaged me, and I thought, "Oh, this is interesting." And I thought also maybe
Mm,
for this interview was why did well actually I would like to know as well, why did you contact me
yes.
and not, I don't know, someone else who
Hmm.
was inside that room, or what was it that you thought,
Yes.
oh yes, I really want to create something with you?
Okay, amazing. I love this question. So I had known for a while, for like probably getting on to a year, the way that my business was evolving. And I knew that so many women obviously weren't able to access this archetypal way that I work
Hmm.
because I wasn't being so vocal about it and it's just not readily available, right? And so I knew that part of what I wanted to do with my business was archetypal retreats. And I was going to be super, super intentional. You know that I'm so specific about like the amount of women who go on these retreats, things like that. And I
Yes.
knew that I only really wanted to collaborate with maybe one or two people doing some of these retreats, it's not all of them. And on the call, much like you, like I got a like a zing. I was just like, this woman, I like her. Like she's, and so you were in my head.
Yeah.
And then when we met at
Yes.
Overflow Live at the
Hmm.
live event, I was just like, there's something about her I really like. You were just like an amazing connection. You're just amazing. And I just felt something. And I was like, I really feel because I've been thinking of you and keeping an eye on you for a little bit, just like I like her content. I love what she stands for. And then you really in person as well. And I think I shared this in a caption recently. For me, you really embody the Duchess archetype.
Yes.
Like you have a way of speaking and drawing people in, and I'm sure you're aware of it, but and I love it, and I'm naturally drawn to people like this. It's such a like quiet, regal power, but there's
Mm.
nothing small about it. Like,
No.
and I think we might have even had this conversation when we were at the event. Like, I'm quite a loud person, but when I go to these events, I deliberately make myself like I watch everything
Quiet.
and
Yeah,
I
more
take
like an
in, yeah,
observer. Yeah, you
yeah,
take it
I
in.
observe
Yeah.
everything. I take it in. And I feel like that's you as well. But I
Yeah.
think it probably comes more naturally to you. And people are drawn in. You're very magnetizing. In fact, in Apex, which is a program I'm running at the moment, we're talking about four Apex archetypes that I see in seven and eight
Mm.
figure women most commonly. And you really remind me of the Jaguar because it's this
Yeah,
very
well,
like,
it's my wealth icon. It's my little
yes.
icon. Or
Of
how do you
course
say,
it
like my symbol?
is.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
of course. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that hadn't even registered. Yeah, so
Mm.
exactly because the Jaguar archetype is all about deliberately almost being restrained and creating space, right? So
Yeah.
you're the coach and the leader that isn't posting like six times a day on every platform. Like you're very intentional and specific, and actually you shouldn't be marketing like any other archetype because the hustle goes against your magic.
Yeah.
Like your people are, because of the restraint that you show and the standards that you embody and the space that you create, they become obsessive in your world. You don't
Yeah.
need 100 people buying an offer because you've got like 15 people that will continuously
Yeah.
reinvest,
Well,
reinvest,
that's
reinvest.
in fact what it is in my business right
Mm,
now. So my
mm,
retention rate is very high. And I
amazing.
was also thinking about, oh, do I actually want that many people in my world, right? And
Mm,
so and that's interesting
exactly.
what you're saying about the Jaguar. This is because I did not really think about this, but I love a Jaguar, both animal and
Mm,
car. And
yes.
but I was looking it up also, and I thought about, the Jaguar also being a night animal, and me with
Hmm.
my shadow work, and having, yeah, and
Yes.
and then kind of plotting. I'm not really a night owl, I would say. I'm very much a morning person, but
Mm,
and I just feel very drawn to the animal as well.
I love
And
that.
yeah, I actually, yeah, I really like what you're speaking about, and it's true in a way. And sometimes, I do get distracted, right, as a human being, and I'm
Hmm.
thinking, oh, should I do maybe more like this, right? Of course, I'm
Mm, hmm.
interested in all different types of ways, but all the time when I'm in that Duchess / Jaguar archetype,
Mm, hmm.
it's the best always. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're in your frequency and that's when you know that it's supposed to be the way that you're doing it. Like the Jaguar, in fact, actually, there is somebody in Apex at the moment who is she, she doesn't know necessarily Duchess energy, but I know that she's Duchess archetype, and she's obviously really connected with the Jaguar. And I'm like, this is actually a massively powerful combination
Yeah.
because it's all about power, it's all about authority, and you actually don't have to do anything. This is all natural
Yeah.
reactions from other people. You're not, just because you're not necessarily the loudest person in the room, people instantly and always acknowledge you. You
Yeah.
have got this
Yeah.
just emitting this aura, right? You
Yeah,
have
I
aura.
never had this problem. I never had, this is
Mm,
the thing. So always, yes, okay, I was bullied for a couple of years when
mm,
I was a child, but I
mm.
was always feeling very comfortable about people, around people. When I walk into a room, you know, I know that people are, yeah, this sounds very strange, but I know people are looking at me. I always
Yes,
had this. And
yes.
for instance, when I was with my mother, who had a completely different aura,
Mm,
she never really understood why are people, is it because of your clothes? I said, no, 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 I don't
yeah.
think that's it, Mom.
Yeah, yeah. It's so crazy because I
But it's really
resonate with
weird
that.
to say
Like,
this about yourself, right? But it's, yeah,
but
so
it's
you are
not
as well.
arrogance. It's not
No.
arrogance because I relate to that so much. In fact, I had almost the exact same experience, like bullied when I was at
Yes.
school, and it was always because I was sticking up, actually. It was always because other people would get bullied and I'd be the one that would be like, I can't stand injustice, so I
Oh,
would say
good.
something, and then
Yeah.
that in turn would bring it on. But I think this is actually probably common for anyone listening as well, especially as a CEO, entrepreneur, business owner. We aren't doing anything like anyone else, and at a young
Yeah.
age, it's evident and it's coming out,
Yeah.
and we're noticed. Like anyone who doesn't go with the herd,
Yeah.
if you're the black sheep, so to
Yeah.
speak, you're going to be noticed, identified, picked on.
Yeah.
And maybe as a child, we didn't have the language or confidence to obviously vocalize it. And as we get older and we are shaped through these different experiences, and you've had a different experience to your mum. My mum is probably quite similar in that respect. She's like, she doesn't want to be center of attention, and I don't necessarily want to be, but I do get attention wherever I go. And I'm okay with that. I've learned to be okay with that. People will see the fur coat and the sunglasses, not in this heat, but
Yes.
and that's just like my signature, really.
Yes. Yeah. But and you carry it also so well. So are you also a Jaguar slash Duchess, or who are you?
Yes, yeah, I have a few different archetypes. So I'm a mix between the lioness and the
Hmm.
jaguar. So the lioness is a very powerful emotional act, like so essentially she's an emotional activator. So
Hmm. Yes.
every
Yes, you
time
are. With
she
storytelling.
yes, yes. So storytelling, and
Yeah.
she's visible. She's never asking to be seen. She is just naturally seen. She pulls people in through the storytelling, through the emotional
Yeah.
activation. So the Jaguar almost, I always feel like the Jaguar would be sipping a cup of tea and like dropping gold and doesn't really have to move or do anything. And the lioness is like creating a huge vacuum of momentum.
Yeah.
They're just building communities in slightly different ways. But yeah,
Yes.
so I have a balance of that. And then the Duchess, and I mean there's lots of other archetypes, but I would say those three are very prominent in my business right now. And that's the other thing as well, is what I love about what I'm teaching. And there's something I'm releasing later this year, is that you can actually, as your business evolves, your archetypes might change. And that's great. That's
Yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
there's
Different
permission for that to
seasons.
happen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No, I fully believe that as well. And also the shifts that you make with the experience that you have and the things that
Hmm.
come your way, of course it has to
Yes.
change. Okay, let's talk about, so you messaged me and then we had some conversations about what we were going to
Yes.
do and
Hmm.
everything. And yeah, now it's
I
here.
love
The
that.
Secret
Now it's
Duchess
here.
Society.
The Secret Duchess Society. Oh my goodness. I mean, as I said, I've been very intentional. I've been thinking about this. World building is huge to me. And I knew that I didn't want to create like just your generic, experience. I feel like, especially women, we're such, I don't want to use like emotional necessarily, but we feel things on such a deep level, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I think emotional, people have negative connotations with that, but I think it's actually an
Well,
incredibly powerful
maybe,
thing.
maybe it's we allow ourselves more to be
Mm,
more in touch with our feelings, also
yes.
because boys don't really learn to do that
Hmm.
from
Hmm.
from a young. You have a son, right?
Yes, I do,
Yes.
yes.
But, and you will notice because he's still very
Mm.
small and the world
Mm-hmm.
is very small, but you will notice that when he's going to school and when he's also going to
Mm.
be part of a choir or whatever he's going to do, um, you will see that he will be kind of, shut off in his emotions. So I think
Mm.
and girls are treated a little bit different.
Agreed, agreed.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm very conscious of actually. And I think, yeah, just women, I think I want more spaces for women to feel like they can fully, not just like tap into, as you said earlier, like a bit of authority there, a bit of value here. Like I do feel that we're treated and expected to operate in such a masculine way.
Yeah.
In all areas of life. And I wanted to create little pockets of sanctuaries where they could feel safe to almost be like tapping into their inner child again and really connecting to archetypes that they actually embody and they are. That is you, just because there
Yeah.
is a version of you right now that might not necessarily reflect it in every area of your life.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you can't activate it and actually embody that right
Yeah.
now. There is no
Yeah.
permission slip you need anyone else to sign other than you. So, yeah, I just had so much fun, creating this with you and
Yeah.
this
We
stunning,
did.
manner. And it's just going to be an amazing
Amazing.
experience.
Yeah. And we
Hmm.
got we got so much inspiration also from pop culture and
Yes.
and beautiful also classical films. And
Hmm.
I actually really loved brainstorming that with you and just having all these, you know, crazy ideas. And I never have been to Bath,
Hmm.
excuse me. And I was so inspired and I thought of Satyricon by Fellini. And
Yes.
oh, sorry, I really have to cough. Sorry.
That's okay.
1 second.
I've got my water here just in case.
The jaguar was
I'm the
drinking her
same.
cold tea
I love that.
and everything happened.
She's coming out.
Um, no, sorry. So, and then, having this inspiration, then you have this inspiration from Bridgerton and
Mm,
we had all these, and then kind of bringing all those stories and visual stories and
mm.
symbolism together has also already been such a pleasure of creating together, right? And
Yeah,
having creating this magic world. And I'm already
absolutely.
there, right? I am already
Yes.
experiencing the weekend. It's even though it hasn't
Yes.
happened yet, I'm already in the
Hmm.
story. So that's I just
Absolutely.
really love that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love hearing that so much. Like that's the dream is to be able to share a vision and experience with someone who also gets it and is on the same
Yeah.
frequency as you. And I think that's also why I'm so intentional about any
Yeah.
collaborations on my world. I mean, I think I said to you, like, I'm super specific about events I attend,
Yeah.
retreats I hold,
Yeah.
collaborations, like everything is very intentional.
Me
That's the
too.
Jaguar in me. And so it was like, yeah, a little match made in heaven with us. And we
Yeah.
just created this vision that's like,
Yeah.
I think been so similar every step of the way. And
Yeah.
if we've had any difference of ideas, all
Yeah.
it's done is expand the world that we've
It
created. And
has.
so, yeah, having something like this to offer, knowing that there is nothing else like this right now, and also the things that will be happening over this like 3-day experience is epic.
Yes. So okay. So if people are listening to this, what what can they expect? I mean, I know, of course, but let's
Mm,
talk about this. What are we going to
yes.
do when people
Yes.
arrive in? Well, it's not really in Bath. It's
Yeah, it's a little outside of Bath.
yeah.
And it's on 700 acres.
Mm.
So you're in this stunning manor house.
Yes. So
It's
you
just
really
beautiful.
feel wealthy already just being there, because my
Absolutely.
brand is
Yeah.
called Wealth Icon, and
Yes.
Wealth Icon is very much about you don't really have to have high net worth to join my programs, but
Mm,
you want to have the intention, right? You want to feel
yes.
wealthy and also become
Absolutely.
wealthy, obviously, but
Mm,
and we really
absolutely.
prepare you for
Yes.
that.
Absolutely. So you are activated from the moment you arrive and you
Yeah.
go down this drive. You are there, and not only are you walking through rooms that like legacy's been built in this house over
Yeah.
250 years.
Yeah.
It's a very old, beautiful home, and then you're going to be welcomed with some champagne. We're going to have some
Hmm.
drinks, and then after you've settled yourself in, you've had a nice time dropping your bags and scouring your bedroom, we are going to get into some really incredible trainings with, I don't know if I should like release all of the information about the
No,
guest
no,
speaker here,
don't.
but
That's no.
we
Going to
have
be
someone that's
really
going to be, yeah, it's
uplifting.
very uplifting. It's going to be very informative, but I think also what I should say is that access to the guest speaker is not something that you can just get. This is very much you're only going to experience this in the Duchess Secret Society.
Yeah.
And it is tailored to talk about a few different things. But if you are somebody who knows you're here to work with powerful women, specifically 7 and 8 figure women, then
Yeah.
this is something that you cannot afford to miss.
Yes.
Because the lessons and things that you're going to be taught here are just,
Yeah.
and you can't access
It
them, money
really
can't buy it.
prepares you for the next level, right? So
Mm,
you are coming into a new world after you've done the retreat, you're entering a new
hmm
portal, and then actually you are fully prepared, right? It's not like you're
hmm
lost and looking for, oh, should I do now? No, no,
No.
no.
Yes, and that's actually so important to say. You will leave this experience not only a changed person, but you will know yourself on a deeper level through the archetype of the Duchess, and you'll have everything ready to go now to serve the
Yeah.
higher clients, to embody the higher level of you in your business and your marketing, whatever it is. Of course, we're going to be having a photo shoot with my team. My team are usually reserved for the celebrity clients that we have or the clients at the agency that we work with. So this isn't like a public access thing. This is
Yeah.
very much you are working with the best, you've got access to the best, and you're having a really beautiful weekend. You're going to have opportunities to have private coaching time with obviously yourself and I, which is
Yes.
amazing. And just explore a bit of Bath. So
Yes.
it's going to be a stunning weekend. And
Yes.
I'm so excited that the 5 women who are going to be inside this manor
Yeah.
house with us are going to be um, just living, honestly, I believe living the rest of their lives in a different frequency.
Yeah. And that's what I feel too. And this is also probably why, because I'm usually not someone who sees things or, reads
Mm,
energetics. I'm not
mm,
very much, but I do feel this. And what I also feel like is that what we are, because it kind of feels like the architecture is there, right? So okay, so the weekend is there, the house is there,
hmm
the program is there, everything is there, we are
mm,
there, the team is there. But then the additional layer is also going to be the attendees.
mm,
And actually, you're a when you join, you're also a co-creator of that magic. And
hmm
you're actually, and I feel like just like what we have, the connection that we have, you will
mm.
have a connection for life also with each other. And we are,
hmm
it's really like a secret society. Like we have a little shared
Absolutely.
secret, even though it's not a secret
Yes.
because we're sharing online, but it's what is happening inside stays there.
Mm,
And I feel like
mm,
it's almost like, in a positive way, like a fraternity group, right? So when
yes.
you're and 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 most women maybe even have not experienced that, but now you will
Mm,
actually get to experience it at a much more aligned level. That's also how I see
yes.
it. and
Yes.
and without the jealousy and all the problems that is
hmm
often portrayed in
Mm,
films and series, but just with a very confident and aligned and the right archetype
mm.
vibe. So yeah, I'm so excited about
Absolutely.
this. Yeah.
It's going to be beautiful, and I love the way that you say that because it's true. I think as entrepreneurs, and I'd love to hear your experience, there's definitely, especially like at the beginning or in the early years of building your business, it can feel really lonely at times if
Oh,
you
horrible.
haven't
Yeah.
sought, whether it's friendships or if you haven't had, sustained mentorship.
Yeah.
I think you kind of feel like maybe I'm fumbling. And
Yeah.
actually, when you go to experiences like this and you
Yeah.
get the opportunity to not only talk to us and to speak
Yeah.
to other women who
Yeah.
are doing the same, having the same big dreams, that's another thing.
Yeah.
You might even be feeling lonely because you're dreaming bigger than everyone else, and that's not
Yeah.
a you problem,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's actually really exciting. Yes, and
Mm,
it's always difficult to navigate this, right? Because you
hmm
are, as you said in the beginning of the conversation, you are doing something different than most people around
Yes.
you, most
hmm
family members, most friends,
Yes.
And also for me, it was also with some friendships, I really thought, I'm not sure if this is going to last because this
Same.
person really does not want to get anything, doesn't
hmm
give anything and doesn't want to get anything. So
hmm
yeah, then
Mm.
And then this is, yeah, I feel it's, yes, okay, you're treating yourself, but I also feel like if you do desire that high level, it is a necessity. It's not like
Oh, 1000%.
a little, how do you say, like a nice to have. It's actually a need to have.
Yes. I
Yes.
completely agree. It's not like a expensive weekend. This is
No.
you are literally going to be talking to people who are working with royalty, politicians. Like you are,
Yeah.
these are experiences that we are intentionally creating that outside of us, literally money cannot buy. There
Yeah.
is no other
No.
opportunity to do
No.
these things. And so I think
Yeah.
that's yeah, you have to see yourself as it's an investment. It's gonna,
Yeah.
further the next steps for
Yeah.
sure.
And maybe, the things that we are going to do, you might get them in other places, but they are always very, this is also what I speak about in my wealth icon movement, is
Mm,
especially the wealth building part, is that, when you attain wealth and then you want to
mm,
look at ways to, make it more, make it
mm.
more interesting, leveraging what you have.
Yes.
Then I experienced conversations with men, always men,
Mm,
saying
mm.
all these things like, yes, and then you have a job, and then you end at 67, and then you have children. I'm like, no, I'm not. That's not
Yeah.
me, right? And I
Yeah.
don't
That's
have
not
a
what you
job,
want.
and so don't you hear what I? So no, there is not. I found a solution actually, and I'm also, I'm creating the pathway for women who want to do that as well. But it's just, and I feel like this is the same. So we're kind of
Mm,
into this classical idea of wealth and duchessness and,
mm,
society, and
mm-hmm.
but we're really spinning it into what women are doing right now, and building for themselves instead of, just
Yes.
following the system.
I love that. Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's almost like a feminine way of rebelling against, as we said, this bro marketing hustle
Yeah.
culture because it's become so normal and you're sharing that like a man said that to you, which doesn't surprise me. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
actually, we're women creating something for other women. Like we
Yeah.
know because we have been you
Yes.
and we see the light the other side. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't, and that's the other thing, there's so much we could talk about this endlessly,
Yeah,
but
I was thinking,
there's so many boxes.
we said 30 minutes, and I don't know, I think we're at
Oh my
40 or
gosh.
50,
Oh
I
my
don't know.
gosh.
Okay, well, sorry to interrupt.
No, no, that's
We can
fine. But
continue,
it's we
yes.
just we'll have to be like a 10-part interview series.
Yeah.
We yeah, I just feel like too often women are expected to fit into boxes created for, men,
Yeah.
masculine
Yes.
energy, masculine cycles, masculine methods. And it's
Yeah.
like you actually don't have to do any of that. You
No.
really don't. And
No.
too many people are regurgitating
Yeah.
the same stuff. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean just because you've heard it 1,000 times that it's the only way to do something, which is
Exactly.
why I am all about the archetypes. And actually, I made a big decision. I don't think I've even shared this with you,
Mm.
is that in my business, I will be closing down the agency part of my business
Ooh. Oh, big
because I
step.
feel a big step
Yeah.
because I feel like it's not the work that I do with the archetypes. I want to make it accessible to as many women as
Yep.
possible.
Yep. Then you have to
And
do
the
that.
agency gives me a cap with
Yeah.
that. So
I can
I'm
imagine.
closing that down.
Yeah.
And now I am creating
Yeah.
something, as I said, that I'll be sharing later in the year, which will be accessible to anyone that wants to work through the
Amazing.
archetypal system. So,
Well,
yeah.
the lioness is getting off the chain. She doesn't want that anymore. She wants to walk. She
Exactly.
wants to run.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
evolution.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay.
Amazing.
Olivia, thank you so much. I'm going to close it. I'm sorry. I'm being
Of course, of
ruthless
course.
here, but
No,
I
go for it.
loved having this conversation with you, as I always do, and I think the listeners have loved this as well. So thank you so much for being on the show, and yeah, we have spoken about maybe doing some Instagram lives. So do
Mm,
find together. So do find us on
yes.
Instagram, and we haven't thought of the architecture yet, but it might be interesting to add a little bit more to the conversation.
Yes,
And just for the
absolutely.
sake of doing it, and also if you want to join our retreat, I will make sure that the link is inside the show notes, of course. And you can always
Amazing.
message either Olivia or me
Hmm.
if you
Hmm.
have any questions about either the retreat or the work that we're both doing. But yeah,
Yes, of course. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
yeah.
And yeah, it's just been the most fun, as I knew it would be.
Yeah, it's really like a playground. And I'm always, when I know that there is a meeting in my agenda with Olivia, I know, oh, yay. And it's
Yay!
also, it's not, you're not alone. You're not
Mm,
playing alone anymore.
yes, I
And that's
love
what I
that.
like too about this. And yeah, I think we can really translate that also into the weekend. Like, you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be the
Yes,
strong woman alone.
I
We can
love
hold
that.
you.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be amazing. And
yeah,
I just really appreciate your time and your listeners. And
likewise.
it's been wonderful to speak with you. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening to this show. And there's going to be a next episode next week on being in divine proportion. I had to think about this for a second because I just recorded it last week. But it's going to be a really beautiful one. And thank you so much for being here. And you know what to do if you want to join. Bye.
Bye.